Hello, my name is Kimberly Nastasi. I'm a certified association exec as well as a graduate of Institute for Organization Management. Today I'm here to talk to you about board service and board governance. So let's just jump right in. First of all, when you are asked to be a member of a board, it's exciting. Somebody has seen something in you that you can contribute to the organization. But before you say yes, there are some things that you should do to make sure that you're ready for this service as a board member and then also for the organization. So the first thing to ask yourself is, am I a fit? Are you passionate about the organization? So we need to understand if we're going to be a great board member. And if you're passionate about something, you're going to want to advance the mission. Do you understand the mission? Do you have a clear understanding of what it is? Spend some time learning about the organization and the mission because you will be responsible for advancing that. Is there a roadmap for advancement? Understand what the plan is for the organization and the role that the board of directors contribute. Management versus governance. Each organization has a leader, a CEO. They're the person that deals with the day-to-day operations of the organization. Board members deal with governance, they deal with vision, they deal with strategy. So your role is going to be more high level than in the weeds when it comes to management of the organization. Now, your job is to support the CEO. The CEO needs support in decisions and execution. They also need to have annual evaluations and assessments. Just like in your company, how somebody would be with you, you need to be with your CEO. They need to have that support. So understand the organization purpose, your fit in it, and then the mission so that you can advance it successfully. The next thing we're going to talk about is finances. Do you understand where the organization is financially? This is a very important question. You need to know, as a board member going in, what you're looking at. Is this an organization with a surplus, or is this an organization with a deficit? And what does that mean for your service? The financial makeup is a question that you need to ask and understand where it's funded. Are there grants that support the organization? Is it a dues? What about sponsorship? Understanding all of the different streams of revenue for the membership is very important as a board member because ultimately you are responsible for that. You will look at financial reports every month, and it'll be your responsibility to understand, ask questions, and approve them. So you need to know up front all of the financial information. If you don't understand how the finances are constructed, then stop and ask somebody. Everybody does things a little bit different, and so sometimes we just don't want to ask those questions because it seems like we should already know. But don't hesitate to stop and get the CEO to go through it with you so that you're on the same board as everyone else and you can be a contributing member when it comes to sustaining the organization with finance. Do you know what the risks are financially for the organization? Do you know what the opportunities are? Times change, and there's different things that occur that impact that you could never anticipate. Recent events is a great example of that. Organizations that really focus their fundraising and their efforts on in-person events, they weren't able to happen. So you had to shift in order to make up for that. So it's important that you know the risk financially for the organization, as well as what opportunities are available. Do you understand all the resources that are needed for that organization? Organizations have staff, they have overhead, so it's your responsibility to understand what's needed for that organization to be successful. The next topic we're going to talk about is expectations, and this is a very important one. Understanding the expectations of you as a board member. What is your role? If you have conversations on the forefront and you understand what's expected of you, then you're going to be successful. If you really don't know what you're getting into, if you don't have this conversation, down the road, it could hinder your performance and it could hurt the organization. So have the conversation and understand fully what your role is in that board. Now, we're asked to serve on boards for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we have a particular skill or talent that the board needs. Sometimes we are able to donate. So we're looking at financial contributions that you can financially support the organization. And sometimes it's time. It's not always about the capital, but it's about the time. So understand what you're able to give in terms of finances and what's important, and be clear on that before you agree to serve so that those expectations are laid out. Now, one thing that's very important when it comes to expectations is being prepared for meetings. You have a short time span to get together and meet, and you want to conduct business. You don't want to stop and start preparing once the meeting starts. So when information is sent to you, stop and review those financials, go through the agenda, read the minutes, and get refreshed. If you have questions, if it's appropriate, contact the CEO before so that you can have those discussions and really understand something. So when you get to the meeting, you can be a contributing member. Once you get to the meeting and conduct business, do it professionally and ethically and without an agenda. And this is very important because your role is not about you, it's about the betterment of the board of directors. So there are ways to conduct meetings, rules of order to follow, understand what those are, adhere to them. And I think it's very important to understand that board meetings are safe spaces for discussion. In order to have a successful board, you have to have diversity of thought. So sometimes the conversation might seem like it is getting a little bit of heat, and that's okay because you want to have healthy dialogue. But at the end of it, everyone needs to be on the same page. So it's okay to disagree, it's okay to have discussions, but at the end of it, whatever the board collectively decides on, it's your job as a board member to get on board with that and then to move that forward. One of the worst things that you can do is what we call a parking lot meeting, which is to leave the meeting and then talk about what happened in a manner that's just not beneficial to the organization. So if you have something to say it during the discussion in the meeting. That's what it's for. It's a safe space. And then support the decision of the board and support the decision of the organization moving forward. The next topic is risk, and this is very important. There's a lot of liability with being a board member. You have to understand what you personally can be held responsible for if you're on the board. We all want to think that the organizations that we're a part of are immune from any kind of negativity, but sometimes that's not the case. We're dealing with humans and factors that are not in our control. So before you agree to serve, find out what kind of insurance is available for you. You need to have director and officers insurance if you're going to serve on a board. It's very important that you have that. So make sure that you ask the questions and that insurance is in place. Make sure the organization has access to legal counsel as well as a CPA. There are certain things that an organization needs to do to be financially responsible, and part of that involves a level of a professional, a CPA, for your finances. So make sure that the board has access to a CPA or somebody that they work with. And likewise with an attorney. It's good to have an attorney on your board so that you can have somebody that's looking in the best interest of you from a legal standpoint. And the next topic I want to talk about is compliance. There are requirements that are specific to nonprofits. So having a firm understanding of what those things are and then ensuring compliance in your role. A simple one is conflict of interest. Knowing what constitutes a conflict of interest and then disclosing if you have any conflicts of interest. You could simply recuse yourself if something comes up where your conflict comes forth, but it's very important that you have these conversations again on the forefront. Each organization has policies that they adhere by. Understand what those policies are and then make sure you're doing what you need to support them and to make sure that things are run in a manner that's consistent with what is said in policy. And this is the same with bylaws. Bylaws are your governing document that tell you everything you need to know about how the organization runs and its structure. So have a copy of the bylaws, review the copy of the bylaws, ask questions, and then adhere to them. They're your governing documents, so the principles that will move you forward. And then the last thing I want to mention is technology. Meetings are being conducted a little bit different these days, and there's nothing wrong with that. But understand technology requirements on the forefront. Can we meet through a conference call? Can you have a Zoom link? Does it have to be in person? What are those particular requirements? What's expected of you? Will there be a portal where information can be made available so that you can review bylaws or meeting minutes or financials? And then finally, understand that your meeting is a safe space for discussion, so it should never be recorded. So if you're participating in a meeting, make sure that there's not a recording of the meeting that's going on. There's a lot of things to think about, but it's a wonderful opportunity. Congratulations for being asked. Just remember your organization purpose, the finances, compliance, risk, expectation, and technology are things that you need to think about on the forefront. If you take a minute to do all of these things and ask the questions and have the discussion, it's only going to lead you to be a more successful board member, and then you can push the organization forward with success and ease. Thank you so much.